Habits. Yes, these kinds of habits. And those kinds of habits too.
Oh, habits.
We are all slaves to our habits, both good habits and bad habits. We all have things that we do daily, continually, consistently, that we get back to again and again, even if those things are bad for us. In the short term, being stuck in some bad habits is mostly annoying. Maybe you're a little bit chubby because of some eating habit that you can't shake. Maybe you're kind of always broke, but you do get by, and it is because of your financial habits that just aren't as good as they could be. But in the longer term, being stuck in bad habits can be devastating. A habit of having a bit too much of a sweet tooth that you can't get under control can lead all the way to diabetes and serious health issues. And the habit of wasting too much time on video games, porn, social media, and so on can eventually lead to looking back at your life filled with regret for all the opportunities you missed out on. But okay, we don't have to be that dramatic. The point is, we all have habits that we'd be better off without, but it's easier said than done to get rid of those habits. Now, in this video, I want to show you an approach to changing bad habits that is different from what you've probably seen and heard of before. And we'll start with a pretty simple, slightly bad habit from my own life. So I've gotten into the habit of going out cafes, having some coffee, and then usually, because I'm pretty bad at resisting, displays of pastries and whatnot, it usually doesn't end at the coffee, and I also have a croissant or something like that. And while this is very nice, it is one of those things where it ends up costing quite a lot doing this every single day. So I want to see if there is something better I can do with that money. Yeah, typically I pay something between 6 and 8 euros depending on where I go, what I have. Every day, it adds up. So this is the habit that I've challenged myself to change. And I don't want to just get rid of the bad habit, I want to replace it with something much, much better. So I want to do something that is healthier, and instead of wasting that money, what if I could invest that money for the future? If the problem is overpriced coffee shop coffees, there's a pretty obvious solution that presents itself. So coffee at home, I don't mind. I quite like making coffee at home. I like the coffee as well. And now what I can do is I can try to spend those, let's call it 6 euros, on an investment instead. So let's just buy 6 euros worth of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, it's not quite that easy, is it? Because usually it's like you transfer some money, and then on the app you choose how much you want to trade for Bitcoin and stuff. And if you make a single transfer, if I just want to buy 6 euros worth of Bitcoin with my credit card or my debit card, it's like the fees that go with that make it a bit questionable. But the point is, it's possible, but it's a bit unsatisfactory. Because of course I could just do it once a week or once a month as well, right? All the money I didn't spend on coffee goes onto an exchange, I buy Bitcoin like that. But again, that's not very satisfactory. It doesn't feel like I'm replacing one habit with another. It just feels like I stopped doing something and I started doing something completely different. I think this is generally how habit replacement goes wrong. It goes wrong when the new habit is much less satisfying than the previous one. And then obviously you're going to fall back. So what I want to find out is, can I make saving on coffee as satisfying or more satisfying than going to the cafe for having my daily coffee? So lately I've gotten into making tea, specifically ginger green tea instead of coffee. I just find it more satisfying somehow. well, not that satisfying, but I enjoy it. And I also kind of enjoy drinking the tea a bit more than coffee. If I go out, I like to have coffee, but at home, this somehow feels healthier and more satisfying. And since I'm going for maximum satisfaction, that's my next step here. I'm replacing homemade coffee with homemade tea. And then the other thing is for the saving/investing. So I've put some money, I've basically pre-charged an exchange account on an exchange I like to use with low fees. So here I can fairly easily just go and place an order for, let's call it $8, right? $8 a day. I can just place an order and say, okay, buy $8 worth of Bitcoin, confirm, and there it goes. And it's like a quick and satisfying process so that it's not like a huge obstacle. It's not something I have to get through. And I know that I'm not wasting too much money on fees. It's not a slow process where I have to get out my card. I did have to pre-fund the account. So essentially I'm kind of just dollar cost averaging, right? So I put like $300 on here. That's going to last for a bit over a month if I keep doing this every day. And so the point here is I'm basically still spending the same amount of money, but I want it to feel like an action I'm taking, and I want it to be nice and easy. So it feels good to put some money away in an investment, and I've basically just set this up to be as enjoyable as possible. So I just whip out the phone, I tap a few buttons, and I get the green notification that tells me, okay, I have some more Bitcoin. And that is quite a satisfying way to replace a relatively expensive other habit. If I have my tea at home, I'm still missing out. Because when I go to the cafe, I often take the long way around so that I can go for a bit of a walk and go through the park, see a bit of green. So if I'm just having it at home, again, the satisfaction level isn't quite there. So this is my next improvement. I'm taking the tea with me and still going for that walk. So I'm in the park, I have my tea, I have my phone so I can make my daily Bitcoin purchase. This feels a lot better. So one thing I notice, still a bit of a problem. It's like drinking out of this thermos is just doesn't feel quite as good. And partially because it tends to be too hot, right? I can't quite trust it. But also, I don't know why, right? I don't want to overthink it, but this isn't as nice as drinking out of a cup. So I think this will become an obstacle, right? If I'm thinking, okay, I'm sitting here with my thermos, I really like being outside. I like that I get to take a walk. This is the worst part of the experience right now. So I'll see what I can do to further improve the user experience. This store has what I am looking for. You've probably noticed that the key word here is satisfying. This is the core idea of what I'm doing. When you want to replace an old habit with a new one, make the new habit as satisfying as possible and don't neglect the details. Not quite what I was hoping for, so I'll keep looking. Better, but still not quite right. Wasn't happy with the stuff I found in the shops here, so I'm trying my luck ordering something online. Feels fairly solid, yeah? Better than the ones I found in the stores for sure. Test run coming soon. So this is the final fully optimized new habit that I arrived at. Every day I make my ginger green tea, I pour it into my nice new cup, I go for a walk in the park, and I put the $7 I saved into Bitcoin instead of spending it on coffee. This isn't the exact same ritual every day, Some days I go for a walk through the park and maybe listen to an audiobook. Sometimes I sit somewhere and read. Sometimes I just sit there and enjoy myself. And sometimes I stay home and have my tea here, especially when the weather outside is not nice. But the point is, once I arrived at this combination of habits, I no longer felt like I needed to tweak or optimize or change anything. It took me a few days to arrive at this configuration, and for 3 weeks since, this is what I've been doing every day. Here are my conclusions. The first question is, of course, did it work? Was this a success? And my answer is yes. This habit change was shockingly effective. And I say it's shockingly effective because at the beginning of this challenge, I was reluctant. I very much liked going out and having my nice coffee at a nice coffee shop every day. And I was doing it every single day. This was a properly ingrained habit. I really did not want to change, and I expected this challenge to be pretty tough. And even I was surprised at how quickly that changed. Even just a few days in, I just no longer felt compelled to go to a coffee shop. If I asked myself right now, what would I rather have? Would I rather have my ginger green tea in the park, or do I want to go to a coffee shop? I would rather have my ginger green tea in the park. It is no competition. The point is, it doesn't feel difficult at all to resist my old habit. And that is what a really successful habit change ought to look like. If you're constantly fighting it, that's a sign that you haven't really optimized your new habit yet, because really you still want to go do the old thing. And I think that is a losing battle. If you're trying to use willpower to overcome the impulse to do the other thing, the bad thing, it's just not going to last. Plus, at this point, I've got about $140 extra invested in Bitcoin, and that feels pretty good too. I mean, that money would otherwise literally just be gone. Now, of course, this is not a huge deal. I replaced a slightly unhealthy habit with a healthier one, and instead of wasting a little bit of money, I'm saving and investing a little bit, but it isn't exactly life-changing. Or is it? Because think about it. Over the long term, little things add up. Not having an unhealthy snack 365 times a year makes a big difference. And also, saving or investing a little bit of money, even at this rate, I'd end up with over $2,000 invested at the end of a year. And once again, over a long enough time, that really adds up. For this video, I deliberately wanted to start with something small and simple. Because yes, you can also do more dramatic life changes and tackle more serious bad habits and replace them with more epic good ones. But I think it's not the best idea to start there. You might be surprised at how much your life can improve over the long term by making little changes like this. Plus, note that my life quality really hasn't deteriorated because I ended up doing something that I prefer doing instead of feeling like I'm constantly making a sacrifice. And let me also say, this isn't the last time I've ever seen the inside of a coffee shop. I still occasionally go to a coffee shop, but now it's more of a weekend thing, or maybe I meet someone there. And a side benefit of this is also that now it actually feels more special to do that again. I still like doing it, but I actually prefer doing it rarely, occasionally, and having it feel special than just doing it every day mindlessly. The principles that I applied here to replace this habit apply to basically any kind of habit change. And there's a lot we could dive into. And in the Icario community, we will. If you're interested in learning more about how to treat habit change as a user experience problem and how to apply these principles for whatever your own habit change goals are, we will do a live call with the Icario community that you can join, so you can ask your questions, have a discussion. We'll have a deeper, more detailed presentation on this. And you can also have a discussion and ask questions in the Icario community forum. If you're interested in that, you can join that. It's all completely free. We'll link to that below in the description. I hope this video inspired you to tackle one of your own bad habits. Let me know in the comments below, what is one habit that you would like to change, and what kind of a difference would it make if you could just completely eliminate this bad habit from your life?